Hey, I have some extra examples here to go over with you on conditional statements, converse, inverse, contrapositive, and biconditionals. Just remember, I'm going to post a PDF of this lesson on my Canvas page, so if you don't want to write everything down, you want to print that out, if you have the ability to, go ahead, or you can always refer back to that, so you don't have to write the questions, maybe you just write your answers. You can always refer back to that PDF. So here we go. So I have 4 of each. So I want to write the converse of each of these statements. And so let's first remind ourselves that a converse is when we switch P and Q. So we have if Q, then P. And then we need to identify what is P. Well, P is the anchor gets loose, and Q is the boat will drift. This is why it's important that we know that if and then aren't a part of those two things. So the if and then kind of stay in the same spot. And then when we have a converse, we just want to switch them. So we're just going to switch the location. So the boat will drift is going to come over here. And the anchor gets loose is going to be at the end. So for a converse, we're just switching the order of P and Q, if and then stay in the same spot. So sometimes students will make a mistake. They'll switch where if and then is, and then that sentence kind of doesn't make any sense. It might not make any sense right now, but the if and then need to stay where they are. Sometimes we do silly sentences in this unit. So let's identify that you study hard here is my P. And then you will make a good grade on the test is my Q. And so I want to switch them. If and then are going to stay in the same spot. So even if you want to do it like I'm doing it right now, we can start with the if then, if that works for you. And then we'll write Q. I probably am going to need some more room for that. That's why we do pencil. So if you will make a good grade on the test, then you study hard. So again, just switching P and Q. Let's do one more. Identify P. P is you eat breakfast. Q, you will feel better at school. That's usually true. We're going to trade their places to write the converse. So if and then are kind of staying in the same spot. So we're going to write Q first. If you will feel better at school, then you eat breakfast. Now don't get hung up on right now when we're writing these totally if they make sense, especially when we have a silly sentence like about eating breakfast and feeling better at school. Sometimes the converse doesn't make as much sense as the original conditional does. So I want you to try this last one. Go ahead and try this last one. Write the converse by switching P and Q, and then I will show you the answer. So P was 2 lines are perpendicular. Q was they form right angles. And we are going to switch them to get if they form right angles. Then 2 lines are perpendicular. just remember, it's good that when I ask you to pause, go ahead and pause the lesson or pause these examples. Try it on your own so you can sort of test yourself, test your knowledge, and then you can press play and watch me do the answer. I got a few for you here. Now let's talk about the inverse. The inverse means that we are keeping P and Q in the same order, but we are changing the meaning of both. So we're doing that not P, not Q, squiggly P, squiggly Q. So we've already identified P and Q. These are the same conditional statements. So we need to change their meaning. So P is staying in the same spot, but we're changing its meaning. The anchor gets loose. The opposite of that is the anchor doesn't get loose. Then we have to do the opposite of the boat will drift. The opposite of the boat drifting is the boat not drifting. Then the boat won't drift. You can say the boat will not drift, the boat doesn't drift, the boat isn't drifting, something that makes sense with what the original was. Again here, P and Q are staying in the same order, we're just changing the meaning. So the opposite of studying hard is not studying hard. So if you don't study hard, if you do not study hard, if you're not studying hard, something like that, then we have to change the meaning of making a good grade on the test. The opposite of making a good grade on the test would be not making a good grade on the test. Then you will not make a good grade on the test. Now, if ever I'm going too fast in these, trying to make sure the video is not too long, you can always pause, you can rewind, you can listen to me first and then go back and write some stuff down. Make sure you make this video work best for you. Again, inverse. We're leaving the same order, we're just changing the meaning of each part. So the opposite of eating breakfast would be if you don't eat breakfast. Then we do the opposite of feeling better at school. So the opposite of you will feel better would be you won't feel better. Keep the same order, change the meaning. Give number 4 a try, keep the same order, change the meaning, writing the inverse of this conditional statement, then press play and see the answer. So I'm keeping the same order. So the opposite of two lines being perpendicular would be that they are not perpendicular. Then change the meaning. So instead of forming right angles, then they don't form right angles. Okay, we got a couple more. Contrapositive is kind of like doing the inverse and the converse at the same time. So we're changing the order and we are doing the negation. So we're going to change the meaning of each and change the order. So I'm going to start with the boat not drifting. If the boat doesn't drift, oops, then the anchor doesn't get loose. Pardon my penmanship. So I'm switching the order. If then are staying in the same spot, and I'm changing the meaning of each piece. Same thing here. If you don't make a good grade on the test, don't study hard. I'm changing the order and changing the meaning. So I'm doing both the converse and the inverse. Again, if then staying in the same spot. So here we're going, if you don't feel better at school, then you don't eat breakfast. Change the order of P and Q and also change the meaning. So give the last one a try, change the order, change the meaning of this conditional statement, then press play, and I'll tell you the answer. So I'm going to say if they don't form right angles, then two lines are not perpendicular. All right, we have one more to do, the biconditionals. So I got some different ones here. Now remember, to write a biconditional, that is my if and only if statement. So P, double arrow, Q. In order to write those, both the original conditional statement and the converse have to be true. So if you're a doctor, then you went to college. That's absolutely true. The only way to become a doctor is to go to college first. So that's true. Let's write the converse. That is switching Q with P. So if you went to college, then you are a doctor. It's hard to prove that something's true. It's really easy to prove that something's false because all you need is one example that makes the statement false. That's called a counter example. Let me write that down. So if you went to college, then you're a doctor. Well, that's false. I went to college. I'm not a doctor. I'm a teacher. So because both of the statements aren't true, we can't write the biconditional. So we could say no biconditional. Let's try this one. If a polygon has three sides, then it is a triangle. Even if you don't know what a polygon is, I hope you know that a triangle has three sides, so that's true. Let's write the converse. If it is a triangle, then the polygon has three sides. Yeah, that's true. If you have a triangle, then it's got to have three sides. So both of these things are true. So we can take this original conditional. We can ditch the if and replace then with if and only if. So we would say a polygon has three sides if, sorry, and only if it is a triangle. And that is the biconditional. We can write the biconditional because the regular statement and the converse are both true. So pause here, try this one. If they're both true, write the biconditional. If they're not both true, tell me why. So we need to start with the converse here. I'll use orange here for Virginia Tech. The converse would be if you go to school in Virginia, then you go to Virginia Tech. So if you go to Virginia Tech, then you go to school in Virginia. Well, that's absolutely true because Virginia Tech is in Virginia. So if you're going to Virginia Tech, then you're in Virginia. the converse, if you go to school in Virginia, then you go to Virginia Tech. Well, that's just not true because there's lots of schools in Virginia, lots of universities, lots of high schools, lots of middle schools. Um, so that is false. I could say a counterexample would be University of Virginia, and so we can't write a biconditional. So that's it for this one. If you have questions, again, 3 ways to ask. You can email me, you can come to office hours, or you can ask me in class. Good luck to you.